what's your name?
So what's going to happen if I don't give you my name?
Then you can be under arrest.
If you are going to threaten us with physical violence, you better make sure you're willing to go all the way, because I am.
The way the law works is if the law doesn't say you can't do it, then you can do it.
If you want to lock people up for not breaking laws,
all men are created equal is the idea that if it is wrong for one man to commit an act, it is wrong for all men to commit that act. Too often, members of our government exclude themselves from the ranks of equal men, referenced by Thomas Jefferson when he said.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another live stream on the Craig Hendry channel. Today's video is a little bit different, as it's not every day I am able to sit here and tell you that I have had a terribly awful experience in jail. As most of you know, I was in jail for about 13 total days, including the day that I went in, the day that I left. So from here to there, I was in jail for a total of 13 days. And I want to tell you a little bit about that. So, like I said, I'm running this live stream today, so forgive me for any hiccups here, but we're going to make this as quick and sweet for you as possible. So I was in jail from March 20th to April 1st. This was a total of 13 days in jail, including the day I went in and the day I left. This was one of the most horrifying experiences of my life. And I want to share it with you, not because I want you to experience the same horrifying experience that I had to, but because I want you all to understand the brevity of this situation. This was no joke, and it was no justice involved in this at all. So, I definitely want to make sure to get this to you. I also want you to understand exactly what lengths your government is willing to go to in order to silence critics or anybody who would expose misconduct on the part of those in power. But before we go on, I really want to ask for contributions to help me with this case. This case is awful. It's atrocious. We want to get into more details. We have a GoFundMe set up, and we've got a few PayPal, Cash App donation links in the description. We have a lot of people that tell us they want to help our legal fight, but they don't have the funds to do so. And because of that, we have an alternative for you all. Anybody who wants to help that doesn't have the financial means to do so, it doesn't cost you any money. It costs you a little bit of time. And I would like to show you that right now. We also have a pretty cool raffle that we're going to do, and we're going to announce the date on that. But first, we're going to let this advertisement play, and I hope that you all can help us out with this.
If you want to help this channel and yourself, you need the My Bamboo banking app. This banking app has tons of features, such as Zelle compatibility, international transfers, and the insurance marketplace, which helps you find insurance for anything from your phone to your car. When you download with our link, we get $15 that will go towards legal fees, and you will receive a slick debit card for free that looks like this. When you download, take a screenshot of the finished screen, and we will enter your name into a raffle. The winner of that raffle will receive one of our revamped Hide Behind the Badge shirts, completely free. Just make sure that when you sign up, you take a screenshot of the finished screen and send it to us on our Gmail, chandtyaudits. Now let's get back into the video.
All right. So hopefully everybody can help us out with that. Like you say, it only takes a little bit of time and we get $15. But now back into my experience in jail, the most horrifying experience I've had with the law in this profession since I've joined. So we're going to start by talking about the first day I went into jail. I went in late at night on the 20th of March, and I left my family behind in the parking lot of that jail, that sheriff's office. And this was definitely the hardest part, right? When I got into the jail, I was booked in. I was in tears, of course. I had just left my young son and my beloved girlfriend. And when I got booked in, I requested to have a book so that I may have something to distract me from being inside of the white walls of the jail. At first, the female in charge, I forget her name, she looked at me and she said she was instructed not to allow me to have a book, implying that perhaps I was to get special treatment when I was in the jail. Of course, I made a deal. I negotiated with them. I'm fairly good at making deals with people, even when I have very little leverage. and I managed to get my hands on a book. It was a medical book that I would think only somebody studying medicine would be interested in. But nonetheless, I read a few pages. I was able to get to bed, and I actually used the book that they furnished me as a bit of a pillow. I was able to sleep pretty good. I think the depression helped me out a little bit with that. But, it was a scary experience. And even more scary is the thought that, perhaps my son knows what's going on. Perhaps my son knows that he just dropped his dad off at a jail, right? And of course, this is not the ideal situation to be in. And of course, it's no fault of my own, right? As most people know, as most people will know watching this, I went into a city hall building to ask certain questions of public officials and to gather certain information through public records requests in Indiana. And for my troubles, I found corruption in the mayor's office in which I was investigating. I exposed that corruption. Of course, there was no ramifications for those who were exposed to be criminals. Instead, in response, they charged me with felonies, right? And that's why, that's the charges I was in jail on, right? So I was in jail. The first 48 hours, I was confined to a cell. That cell didn't have a shower. It had one little ledge where you could put half of your mattress while you're walking around your little 8-foot by 12-foot cell during the day. This was not fun at all, right? It was actually torturous. I lost my cool quite a few times. I felt they were treating me like a monkey, like they weren't respecting my rights. And I certainly did not feel as though my right to be innocent until proven guilty was being respected by the government at all. Of course, because it was not, right? So the first couple of days passed. They were torturous, and there was a lot of tears going on. I then went back into general population. Right? When I got back into general population, there was a total of 4 individuals in my cell block. All 4 of them seemed to be fairly decent individuals. I wasn't in there with anybody who seemed crazy. The crazy people to me are the people who just do whatever they're told, despite the ramifications for human life, right? Of course, we know how that worked out for those who operated in Germany in the 1930s and 40s. Didn't work out too well as a defense for them when they were put on trial for their crimes against humanity at Nuremberg. But I was in the jail cell, and we went into the cell block, or the population. And about 4 days later, I went to a court date. All right, I had to sit in the weekend, and the judge in my case, Hunter Reese, set a court date for me to reestablish a bond. Right now in Indiana, unless you have been accused and found that there's probable cause by a grand jury, you have a right to a bond, not to a reasonable bond. You have a right to a bond in general. And then the U.S. Constitution furnishes you the right for a reasonable bond. Okay. I felt pretty confident about this court date, although I was very stressed out. And I want to share this with you. This is a very important factor that I want everybody to understand. When I was at court, the state had a burden of proof known as clear and convincing. Now, when it comes to burdens of proof, you've got at the very bottom rung, you have reasonable articulable suspicion. And at the very top rung, you have beyond a reasonable doubt. The second highest is clear and convincing. So the state had a burden of proof. They had to prove clear and convincingly that I had committed in waiting on the court, that I had committed a Class A misdemeanor that shows a disdain for the court's authority and an instability, right? So basically, the court came in, and this is what they said. They said, Your Honor, another county in Indiana has filed a probable cause affidavit, which is, by the way, the second lowest rung on burden of proof is probable cause. Only thing lower is reasonable suspicion. And so the state came in and said, a probable cause affidavit has been filed and approved of by a judicial officer of the state of Indiana, and therefore they've met their burden of proof of clear and convincing. Well, we, of course, argued that there was no clear and convincing evidence. We argued that that basically that what had occurred, even what was alleged in the probable cause affidavit, really didn't contain a Class A misdemeanor, or at least charging information for a Class A misdemeanor. My attorney pointed out that the crime involved a flashlight beam, not any force or any physical, anything. But the judge completely ignored our argument and sided with the state and said that probable cause has ascended to the level of clear and convincing. Now, of course, we plan to appeal this. I plan to appeal this decision, this bond decision. I don't think it's right at all. But the judge took that into consideration and said, Mr. Hendry, I'm going to set for you a reasonable bond. And so I think, well, okay, he's going to set a reasonable bond. He's not reinstating it, as I think should be done, but he's going to set a reasonable bond, so that can't be too bad. And he looked at me and he said, I am going to set a $25,000 surety bond. And he said, he didn't say anything about 10%. And this was at 8:30 a.m. on the Monday, I believe, the first Monday that I was in jail. The 26th, I think. Well, anyways, at about 1:49 p.m., so almost 4 or 5 hours after he had decided 25,000, he then changed his mind, I guess, and set it at 2,500 through a 10% surety bond. Of course, I could be misunderstanding that, but that's the way it appeared to me. And the 25,000 surety bond was then paid 10%. That 10% we will never, ever get back, right? We paid that $2,500 to a bondsman. That's what he keeps for profit. That's how he gets his money. And so technically, I'm not even out of custody right now. I'm in the custody of my bondsman, right? So, freedom. I'm a free range tax man is what I am, right? I'm a free ranger. I'm not exactly incarcerated, but I am in custody. And so when I got back to the cell block that night, I was floored. I mean, there was nothing that I thought could be worse than the judge thinking that $25,000 is a reasonable ransom in a case that is clearly bogus to begin with. Anybody with a brain the size of an ant could see that. Of course, ants aren't the ones prosecuting me, unfortunately, but it's these humanoids who take their orders from on high and they do whatever they're told, right? But so to say the least, I was floored when I got back to the cell block. And of course, it's hard to keep your cool when you've just been told that your ransom was set at $25,000, that you won't be free on a charge that's clearly ridiculous, unless somebody comes and foots a bill for 25 grand, right? Nobody's going to do that. So anyways, yeah, it was terrible. And when I got back to the cell block, I had to pretty much make it clear to everybody in there that I was not in the mood to joke, that this was not a laughing matter, that I'm actually pretty angry about it. And of course, that always causes problems. You never know exactly what's going to happen. You always run the risk of just getting in a fight in there and acquiring more charges for fighting, which was on my mind as well, which brings me to my next point. After this had been happening, after we had gone to court, we had actually, I had become friends with a few of the guys in the cell block, right? There's only 4 people in there, so we all got to know each other fairly well. And, I was pretty comfortable in there. Well, then after, I think the guards must have seen that I was getting a little bit comfortable, and they moved a gentleman in who has clear medical issues. I won't be going on to saying his name because I feel extremely sorry for the guy, but the guy was a liability. He had a mental issue. He had clearly abused drugs for a long period of time, and he was an extremely volatile individual who came in just screaming obscenities, and it was clear that he was unstable. Now, this gives you a feeling, of course. It's not like you can walk out of the room, right? You're locked in this room with everybody, and you aren't going anywhere. So it makes you feel a little bit uneasy. And eventually, this gentleman that they had moved into our cell block had gone and told another one of the inmates that he wanted to beat me up, right? And I don't know if anybody's been in jail. Of course, some of us will have been in jail before. If somebody challenges you to a fight in jail, or somebody says they're going to attack you in jail, and you just allow that to happen, it does not spell good news for you, right? It does not spell, acceptance from the other inmates. It actually makes you look like an easy target, right? And so I had to make it clear to everybody in there that I was not afraid to fight, that they would have to come into my cell and they'd have to challenge me to a fight in there, so that I could be acting in self-defense. But Yeah, it was an extremely uncomfortable and dangerous situation. And eventually, through peaceful means, we had gotten that gentleman out of the cell block because he was a liability to us. He was a liability to himself. But I think that that was all intentional on the part of the sheriff's deputies. Now, one of the biggest things that I'm not sure was communicated to anybody, I didn't eat their food not one single time in that jail. They kept offering me plates. They kept offering me trays. At one point, they insisted that I take their tray, and they tried to throw it, not throw it, they tried to set it down in my cell. I had to get in front of the cell door and tell the guard, look, you're not putting this in my cell. I don't want anything to do with your food. I don't want any temptations in here to eat it, because this is the deal. I really thought they were trying to poison me. I mean, what better way to deal with me than to just kill me right there in the cell and just say, well, you know, he got food poisoning or he was allergic to something. So I refused to eat their food the entirety of the time that I was in jail. Some people looked at me like I was crazy, and the other inmates were extremely mad that I didn't take my tray and give it to them. But of course, I wanted documented for all to see. I didn't take my tray. I did not take my tray. I did not accept this food from them. And they all looked at me like I was crazy because they said, well, look, by law, we have to feed you. You know, we got to feed you good food. They told me it's not Aramark food, which is a food that is commonly served in jails and prisons. And that Aramark food is labeled not fit for human consumption. I mean, they say it, but that doesn't stop the state from furnishing it to inmates to eat, right? To put into their bodies and poison themselves. They assured me that it was not Aramark food and that it was healthy. But I'm pretty sure that these people also assured the public that they were going to defend our constitutional rights. I'm pretty sure that they said that they were accepting the responsibility that not only were they going to uphold the Constitution, but as sheriffs and sheriff's deputies, they were going to protect the Constitution, right? They always brag about being constitutional law enforcement, whereas, you know, all the other people are apparently unconstitutional law enforcement in contrast. But of course, this argument falls on deaf ears, or this point falls on deaf ears to most people. They think that, you know, the state would never poison you, right? The state would never arrest you for something you didn't do. And surely the state would never violate your constitutional rights, right? Wrong. They do everything that I just said, right? And at one point they even asked me, Mr. Hendry, are you looking to hurt yourself? And I thought to myself, no, I'm not trying to hurt myself. I verbalized it to them. I said, I want to make it very clear to everybody, and I want this on recording. And so they recorded it. Said, I am not going to hurt myself. I don't have any desire to hurt myself. And I don't want to be, I do not want to go out like Jeffrey Epstein. So we made that very clear to him. But people, this case should not be lost on everybody what they want to do. In The Art of War, one of the author's rules is you don't have to defeat your enemy. You just have to defeat your enemy's willingness to engage, right? This is what it's all about. They don't want to beat me in court. They want to show me what's waiting for me if I continue to dissent from the government. And of course, this is what's in store for every individual that dissents from the government. We have got a premiere ready for everybody that's just about to come out probably in 2 days that shows another individual in Indiana getting attacked, getting put in a chokehold and not in a chokehold, but he was choke slammed to the ground by this unhinged deputy. And this stuff will go on every single time you go out in public if you criticize the government. It's not a safe time. It's not a safe time to be alive. It's not a safe time to dissent from your government, right? And so just so that everybody does remember what this is about, what this case is about, because I don't want anybody to forget, this is the case in which I exposed the city of Clinton's mayor and a local contractor in the Clinton mayor's office. And so when I exposed those two, their response was to come at me with criminal charges and use their political ally in the prosecutor's office to press these charges. And of course, most people know prosecutors enjoy absolute immunity in most cases. Their motives are generally unquestioned. And so we're going to show you the expose that we showed. I know we've showed it a lot, but it shouldn't be forgotten what this is all about. This is not about auditing, right? I haven't gone auditing for quite a while. I've gone investigating situations a lot recently. I've heard reports of misconduct. I've heard reports of corruption. And so I've gone and investigated. Of course, everybody knows I've changed my name from chandtyaudits on YouTube to just Hendry, because this is just me. It's my last name, Hendry. It's just me going around investigating the government and sometimes running exposés on the government on the YouTube channel when I can't go and investigate them. But I want to show everybody what this is about without any further ado. I'm going to show you the report that got me thrown in a cage here. Just so everybody knows, viewer discretion is advised here. If you don't like seeing government officials being exposed as corrupt, and I know there will be a lot of trolls out there that really don't like that. So if you don't like that, go ahead and click off the video now, because you're bound to become unhinged, or if you're a snowflake, you're bound to melt.
Today I am bringing you proof of a corrupt mayor and employees of a small city in Indiana. Let's get into the video.
If you sell this property to some developer or something, do you automatically record that to all of a sudden that developer is responsible from then on?
Yes. We give them a deed. They get a deed and it's recorded here.
So there's no building not going on the city property before it's turned over to the developer?
No.
That is the attorney for the city of Clinton in Indiana. And everything you just heard him say was an absolute lie. He is currently being questioned by Vermilion County Commissioner Tim Yoakum.
My question is, has the city had anyone build units on their property before the...
Not that I know of. Not that I know of.
The commissioner is asking about these properties. The houses on them were built by contractor Timothy Cottrell, while the city still owned the properties. This allowed the contractor to avoid the cost of such inconveniences as buying the land and paying property taxes, which is probably why Scott Craig is feigning ignorance about them. But he then claims to be knowledgeable about the very area that all this happened on.
That area down around Feather Creek in Clinton, there's a lot of parcels down there, and most people weren't paying their taxes on them because they were worthless parcels of land. So we had a lot concentrated there in that North 6th Street, North 7th Street, North Street area. Most of those now have either been gone through the tax sale. There's a couple of people who still live down there and they do pay their taxes.
So he is aware of the properties, but at the same time, unaware of them. Now, I'm sure you all are thinking, why does this matter? If government officials are speaking, most often they are lying. As true as this lie affects real people and also shows to an extent the lack of accountability for government officials and their close friends. Let me give you some background. In the early 2000s, a man named Kevin Kiger bought almost a whole 2 blocks of properties with the hope of building a home for himself and his offspring. When Kevin went to the city to get a building permit, he was told by Mayor Jack Guilfoyle and 2 of the mayor's predecessors that he would not be able to get a permit for that land because it is in a flood zone. After Kevin realized that he would not be legally allowed to erect a building on his own property, he judged that the property was worthless to him. As a result, Kevin stopped paying property taxes on the now worthless land. The city then took the property from Kevin for delinquent taxes and allowed Timothy Cottrell, a local contractor and friend of the mayor's, to start construction on the same property they just told Kevin he couldn't construct on. On top of that, they let the mayor's friend build while the city still owned the property, which allowed the mayor's friend to avoid property taxes and possibly liability, contrary to the lies attorney Scott Craig told at the county commissioners meeting.
If you sell this property to some developer or something, do you automatically record that to all of a sudden that developer is responsible from then on?
Yes. We give them a deed. They get a deed and it's recorded here.
So there's no building not going on the city property before it's turned over to the developer?
No.
Let's get into the evidence. We know the city attorney is lying about there being no building on city property because the property was transferred to Tim Cottrell in 2023, according to the county website. But Google satellite images from mid-2022 show that 12 properties were already constructed there. In addition to this evidence, the local news also ran a story about these very properties, in which Timothy Cottrell makes some pretty revealing statements about these properties. Let's watch.
New housing is coming to a spot in Clinton that sat empty for nearly a decade. The floodplain by North 6th Street now has 12 homes with many young families living in them.
Houston's Blake Dollier tells us how this project came together and how it'll help the small town.
Patrice Rondrell, a local business owner, and Mayor Jack Guilfoyle have one thing in common. They both say they want to see more young people live and work in Clinton. Now that business owner has laid the groundwork to help make that dream a reality. If you know Tim Cottrell, you know he's either working on roofs or building homes. He says he loves the city of Clinton, but a conversation with his daughter about the city had him concerned.
Well, it started with a comment from my daughter, kind of a negative comment about the city, and that struck me because that's our hometown, and I didn't want her to feel like it's a bad area.
Mayor Jack Guilfoyle says a lot of younger people are leaving the city, but says Cottrell is helping bring some back. He's invested in building 12 houses on a floodplain near North 6th Street. He's building them to be flood proof.
I've been on a mission for several years to improve Clinton as much as I can. I try to take the worst houses in town and then either tear them down and build something new or rehab them if I can.
That dream of making his city better came with a pretty hefty price tag.
I don't know who else would want to sink $1 million into flood zone in Clinton, and that's about what it ended up costing. And I don't have $1 million, but I found a way. I found a way to make it happen.
He did not have $1 million, but he found a way. Perhaps some of the money he used came from the city of Clinton, as the city did admit to reallocating almost $250,000 from a project in the town to the same area that Cottrell built his housing on. Also, when the properties were belatedly transferred over to Cottrell, the clerk-treasurer of the city, Lori Kersey, appears to have never signed her name on the quitclaim deed that I have been shown, supposedly showing that she did not support these questionable acts within her own city government.
I don't know who else would want to sink $1 million into flood zone in Clinton, and that's about what it ended up costing. And I don't have $1 million, but I found a way. I found a way to make it happen.
One thing is certain. Tim Cottrell has never met Kevin Kiger, the man who originally owned and wanted to build on this property.
Initially, I wasn't sure what kind of demand we would have for them. And as I built, I had to take my time building them. I didn't have the funding to do it all at once, but as I built each one of them, they were rented out before we even finished them. So it really worked out well.
So now, thanks to Cottrell's statement, we know that he was renting out city property and presumably keeping the money for himself, which explains why the county government was asking questions in the first place. What we are asking is how they are allowed to do this to people like Kevin Kiger and get away with it. According to Mayor Jack Guilfoyle, the state has already looked into this issue and found no wrongdoing.
Mayor, why have you sold properties to a private contractor for an average of $1 per property?
Ask him. He's asked me that question before, and so see, you both got the answer.
So did the state of Indiana.
Yeah, and they said there was nothing wrong.
No, they did.
Yes, we did.
No, it's on tape.
The city
It's
attorney
said-
met with Will
The
Clark.
city attorney said he swept it under the rug.
The city has never provided any proof that any building permits were ever granted to Tim Cottrell to build in that flood zone. And the person in charge of the permits for the city, Kenneth Weininger, told me that Tim never got permits. What he got was permission. Sure would have been nice for Kevin Kiger, but the reality is that we shouldn't need permission to build on our own property. We definitely shouldn't be paying thugs like these for the right to own property. However, the moral of this story is rules don't apply to the rulers. Only the rules. Some may be asking, who exactly is to blame for this double standard in the city of Clinton? And in my opinion, the answer to that is the mayor. Jack Guilfoyle Jr., and the other local officials that have imposed the rules when it benefits them and overlooked the same rules when their friend is the party in question. As a result of my investigation into this city and asking questions to local officials, I have been charged with felony stalking the alleged victim, a woman that works in the mayor's office in real life, but on paper is a utility clerk. Me exposing corruption, asking questions of local officials, and exercising my right to record in public while doing so is not a criminal offense. However, they are attempting to persecute me with felony charges that carry up to 2.5 years in prison. To help me fight back against this tyranny, please donate to either my Cash App or PayPal, and share this video to help expose this corruption to as many people as possible. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. It helps it get to more people. And leave me a comment and tell me what you think down below.
All right, everybody. So that is the report that I got charged with. And again, I want to say we've got 280 people in the room. A lot of people want to help me fight this charge and do not have the financial means to do so. I understand. I am hard pressed for finances as well. We have a solution to that. In the description, we have a My Bamboo link. This is a banking app, and I'm going to let you guys see the advertisement we made for this. I want everybody to understand that when you download this app and when you sign up with using our link, we get $15. And that $15 is all going to go towards legal fees. I'm going to run the advertisement right now so you can see how it's done.
If you want to help this channel and yourself, you need the My Bamboo banking app. This banking app has tons of features such as Zelle compatibility, international transfers, and the insurance marketplace, which helps you find insurance for anything from your phone to your car. When you download with our link, we get $15 that will go towards legal fees, and you will receive a slick debit card for free that looks like this. When you download, take a screenshot of the finished screen, and we will enter your name into a raffle. The winner of that raffle will receive one of our revamped Hide Behind the Badge shirts, completely free. Just make sure that when you sign up, you take a screenshot of the finished screen and send it to us on our Gmail, chandtyaudits. Now let's get back into the video.
So I don't want to, I want to get back to my story about in jail and how I got out. But first, I want to send recognition. We have gotten some new PayPal donations, some new Cash App donations. In the past, we have had problems with reading out people's last names. Some people like that. Some people don't like that. If you like that, maybe you could send me an email and tell me so that in the future I know. But just to play it safe, we're going to read out first names. So we got $20 from Joseph on PayPal. We got $20 from Steven on PayPal. And we just received $30 from, I know this guy doesn't mind me saying it, from Flex Your Freedoms. Thank you to those people very much for that. We got $20 from John on Cash App. And it looks like that's all the donations we've got just now. By the way, I want to update everybody on where we are on our fundraiser, because as you know, we're trying to raise $5,000 for attorneys in Indiana, for an attorney to represent me in the case that got my bond revoked, right? So while I am getting ready to show you this kind of stuff, I want to tell you that while the judge did revoke my bond, he did so because I did get new charges. Now I'm represented on the charges of felony that you just saw. This is what I spent 13 days in jail over. But the new charges, I'm still not represented. And these are the charges that we are going to be getting. That's the charges that we're putting the donations towards. That's the charges that we're hiring a lawyer for in this particular instance. This is what we're raising money for. Now, I'm going to get back to telling you all about how it was that I actually managed to get out. Because, like I say, the judge changed his mind. The judge changed the bond from $25,000 with no 10% to just $25,000 or $2,500. So he gave me 10% of the bond. And give me 1 second here. We got 8. So after that happened, we contacted everyone we knew. I mean, we were trying to tell people, because I don't like sitting in jail, right? They call me crazy for it, but I just don't enjoy sitting in a cage all day long with nothing better to do than twiddle my thumbs and read a book every now and again. And of course, I read a book. As a matter of fact, shout out to the gentleman who sent me the book Civil Disobedience by Henry David Thoreau. I really, really enjoyed that book. So I want to show everybody where we stand on the Cash App. We stand at 832.01, and we stand at on PayPal. We stand at 664.39. And by the way, I want to give a huge shout out. One of the biggest contributors was Brian from Here's the Deal. He gave me $150 outright. There were a couple other people who gave me $200, $300, and those people's names definitely deserve to be recognized, and I'm going to give them some recognition. But after we had gone back, we had contacted everybody that we knew. I contacted everybody through my girlfriend, Erica, who was an absolute superstar through my period of incarceration, running around like a chicken with her head cut off, trying to figure out how to get me the heck out of that cage. And eventually she was successful. But eventually we got contacted by a very good friend of mine, a friend who's helped me out a lot in the past, a friend who is, I'm sure is going to stick around me for a long time into the future. And he anonymously came and footed the bill for that $2,500. So we did not come out of pocket ourselves on that. Of course, me and Erica are a very young couple, and it's difficult for me to maintain an income when the state continuously kidnaps me and holds me for ransom. So he helped us out. He footed the bill for that. And we are going to try to get as much of that money back to him as possible. Of course, it's extremely hard when you're under a political attack like this. So right after court, he came to us. Well, it wasn't right after court. It was later on that day. And I felt a feeling of relief. I thought to myself, geez, I'm going to get out of this hellhole. This will be great. Well, Erica's calling all these bail bondsmen, right? Because a surety bond, you got to get a bail bondsman to post it. So Erica was trying to call every bail bondsman around. And of course, Vermilion County, the county I was locked up in, stopped doing bail bondsmen a long time ago. So she was very hard pressed to find a bail bondsman that even understood that Vermilion County would accept it. Of course, the judge in Vermilion County specifically ordered that I be allowed to use a bail bondsman in my case. We have a special judge. We don't use the regular judge. For whatever reason, he recused himself from my case. So anyways, she eventually found somebody who could do it. I believe it was Thursday. Tyler, does that sound right? It was a Thursday that my court date was on, or a Wednesday? Yeah. So yeah, it was a Thursday, we think. She only found someone that could come on Monday. They said their kids were on spring break, so I had to sit in jail until Monday. Now, eventually she had called somebody, a bail bondsman who was willing to come and register with the Vermilion County clerk to bond me out, and who was willing to make an hour-and-a-half drive to come and get me out. This gentleman did exactly what he said he would do. He came and got me out of jail. I'm technically in his custody, and it's a shame that we even have to go through this process. It's a shame that people even exist in that employ, because I don't really believe that the state should be allowed to hold people for ransom. But this gentleman is licensed to get people out of jail and accept a little bit of money for it in return. And so he did that for me. He came and took me out. But I had to wait until the next Monday. So I want you to understand, I sat in jail Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And on the fifth day, at around 12:30 p.m., 1 p.m., I was allowed to leave the jail. Now, I want you to understand that nobody is claiming that I'm a danger to the public. Nobody is claiming that, I'm not going to show up to my court dates and I'm a flight risk. If you look at my history, I've never, not one time, not shown up to a court date. As much as I believe that this is wrong, what's happening to me, that it shouldn't be happening, I do show the respect to the system in showing up to court, right? Because I know the consequences if I don't show up to court, right? If you don't show up to court, in the long run, it seems to make matters worse. At least this is what they want you to think, and this is what I truly believe. Maybe some people disagree with me. They can leave their comments below and let me know what they think about that. But they held me for ransom, and that was the most difficult part of it all. I want to give a shout out to my lawyer in Kentucky, the DUI guy. He had to cancel an appointment in order to make room for me to get into this appointment. He had to reschedule it for me, and it was a little bit of a pain for him to do so. So I'm glad that he was able to work with the other respective parties in that case to get us rescheduled in a timely manner. So I look forward to that case. By the way, everybody that's watching, May 1st, 2024, Boyd County Courthouse in Kentucky. This is in Catlettsburg, Kentucky. Sound it out. Make sure you spell it right. It's a weird name. We are going to court. We're going to a jury trial. I believe that the trial starts at 10 a.m. We want the courtroom packed for that trial. We're going to be bringing people along with us already, right? This is an interesting case. I called the cop an effing thug, and he locked me in a cage and held me for ransom out there too. Right. So there's nothing foreign to me, right? I'm certainly familiar with these people doing this to me, but every single time it gets increasingly more worrying. You know, one time it happens, it's a one-off circumstance, right? This doesn't happen too often, right? It's just happened to me one time. The second time, you're starting to form a trend of wrongful incarcerations, of police harassment, of traumatization. Because do not be mistaken, this stuff is traumatizing. Anybody who's sat in jail for 24 hours, it's the very feeling that you can't get away. You're stuck. You're like a dog. You have been reduced to the level of a dog in a cage. You eat when they feed you. You drink when they, by the way, I resisted drinking the water for a long period of time. For about 6 days, I didn't drink the water. I was so thirsty. I could barely swallow any spit. My throat was so dry. Eventually I had to give in. I had to fold on that. I had to drink the water. I think the water is poisonous. I think that the water that they put in this tap water, I don't believe that it's healthy for you to drink. I think that it makes people very sick. Let me put it like that. Of course, I'm not a medical doctor. I don't want to give anybody medical advice, but it is certainly my opinion. And the tap water is not safe to drink, so I don't drink it, right? I drink reverse osmosis filtered water, and on occasion I'll drink spring water if that company has good test results. And my family does the same thing, right? If it's a bad thing for me, I'm not going to let my son drink the tap water, right? So that's basically what it was like. I didn't drink a lot. I didn't sleep a lot. I didn't eat for 2 days, for 2 48-hour periods after I got out. And Erica can vouch for this. It was extremely annoying for her, I'm sure. I couldn't sleep. I was laid up in bed. I couldn't sleep. It was just the mere thought that this government is out to get me in such a ruthless and just unforgiving manner, right? Now, I want to keep this going just a little bit because we do have more money to raise. I don't know how much more time we have. We don't have too much more time. But I want to show you all exactly what it was that they revoked my bond for. Now, this will blow your mind. It'll blow your mind beyond belief because, of course, everybody believes we have a right to freedom of speech. We certainly have a right to be wrong. That's something that at least I thought we had a right to. But this is a very interesting case. I wasn't arrested. I was charged with a Class B misdemeanor, which holds up to 180 days in a jail cell, which is a pretty scary prospect in itself. I am going to show you a speech that landed me. This basically was what got my bond revoked. These people in Linton, Indiana, which is south of Vermilion County, where I was held in jail, these people here had me charged with a crime that ultimately saw my bond revoked for speaking at a city hall meeting. If you don't believe me, stick around. We're going to show you the proof.
I've prepared a bit of a statement here for you to keep me on topic. I represent a faction of people in the city of Linton that are oftentimes not heard, but are still real people nonetheless. They have families and loved ones. I'm here to speak about what's written on the side of our police cruisers here in town, that is to protect and serve. On July 26, 2022, in Linton, Indiana, armed thugs showed up at my home when I was not there. They kicked in the door and searched my house looking for me. Not having any luck when they couldn't locate me, they left.
Sir, what was your name? I didn't catch it.
My name is Craig.
Craig?
Yes.
Last name?
It's Hendry.
Could you,
It's Hendry.
oh, okay. Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
No problem. Shortly after I returned home around midnight that night, the aggressors returned as well. They banged loudly on my door and demanded that I allow them entry. They threatened to break into my home if I did not comply with their demands. When I opened the door, I was kidnapped by them and hauled to a concrete cage where they kept me against my will for a period of 45 days. Who were these disrespectful thugs that did this to me, my family, and our property, you may ask? It was none other than the Linton Police Department. Right? They told me the reason that they did this, the reason that they were protecting and serving the absolute crap out of me on this particular occasion was because I had sold cannabis, a plant that grows from the ground, to consenting adults almost a year earlier. Right? Obviously a good reason to break into somebody's home. Not. They told me that the Linton PD's actions demonstrate the extreme need to abolish this entire department. Right? When the local police are not wandering around aimlessly, spending taxpayer dollars on gas, creating wear and tear on the vehicles that we've paid for, and all the while collecting a generous salary at the expense of the taxpayers, when they are not doing this, it seems they are dead set on terrorizing those of the community that seem to be undesirable to them. Of course, we know that the Linton City Council won't abolish these useless and dangerous tax leeches because they seem to fall into that same category. But to the council members' benefit, they don't personally go out and extort the community through traffic tickets or terrorize them under the color of law.
Everybody, we are halfway through that video. I want to give a shout out to the Angry Vet who just donated 20 memberships. I'm sorry, I'm not paying attention to the comment section right now. I will look at that. I will make sure that we stay on that in case we miss any other super chats. I want to bring up the probable cause of this because this is essentially what I was charged with has already been said. So basically, this is the probable cause. Affidavit for probable cause. You can see it right up here in the top right corner of the screen. We're going to zoom in just a little bit so we can get a better view of it. This is what I was charged with, and this allegedly happened on March 11th, 2024. This is the newest charge that they have hit me with, and I want to highlight that little area for you just there so you can see it. Let me make sure. Oh, I got to make sure that I'm sharing it. There we go. I want to highlight that. So on March 11th, 2024, and we are going to bring up the date or there it is. It says affidavit for probable cause right up there in the top right corner. So everybody knows this is what this is the date that this guy filed these charges on. So he goes, generally during these meetings, all elected officials are present. During the March 11th, 2024 meeting, all 5 council members were in attendance. Right. So then he goes on to say that I recognized and knew the male subject to be Craig Robert Hendry. Hendry presents himself to be a First Amendment auditor and makes videos of his encounters with government officials in which he tries to provoke government officials into arguments or improper actions. He then edits and posts the videos on a monetized social media accounts and platforms. So the guy's making his disdain for me known, but we are going to show you beyond a reasonable doubt that this guy charged me because of what I said at the city council meeting. This is how much our rights are under attack. And this is why I am asking for donations. And if anybody didn't see it, we are raising money for people. Even if you have donated, I really appreciate you. But it would be very helpful if you could sign up for this banking app that we have. We get $15 every time anybody signs up. It's a great way to help the channel for free. And by the way, when you sign up, you get a debit card for free that looks like this. It'll just be another addition to your wallet, another way to spend your money. So yeah, if you could do that, that would be very helpful. This is what we're fighting against right here. He goes, this is Paul Clark, the Linton police chief. He goes, Craig Hendry presented to the council a prepared statement. During his statement, Hendry made a number of allegations regarding the Linton Police Department. He also indicated that his intent by making this complaint was to, quote, abolish this terrorist organization that is sponsored by the taxpayers of the city of Linton, Indiana, unquote. And then he goes on to say, many of those allegations are false. Hendry would have known the statements he was making were false. So he's sitting there claiming to know what I know. He's claiming to be inside of my head. But this is really what he's charging me with. He's saying that I made false allegations, right? This is exactly what he's saying. I don't know if many people will remember it, but I think October or November last year, I went to this guy's police department. The video's title is Hendry is at the PD that kicked his son's door in, right? And I went to that police department and made these accusations to this guy's face, right? He didn't refute him there. He didn't try to say, hey, I didn't do it. I asked the guy to his face, I said, did you kick in my door? And he goes, I don't know. I don't know if I was there that night. He said, I don't really remember. So then when I go in front of the council and make the same exact statement, he wants to charge me with a crime, right? This is what America has come to. When you speak at a council meeting, when you speak at a council meeting, you're running the risk of getting a criminal charge. Now, of course, I am going to be going back to the city council meeting, and we're going to be making another speech there. It might not be as prepared, but everybody, we are about to wrap this live stream up. I just wanted to make it clear to everybody exactly what we're fighting against, exactly what we're fighting for, right? We're fighting for the freedom to say what we want. We're fighting for the freedom to expose state officials without fear of retaliation. And as a matter of fact, what we're fighting for on the Hendry channel is getting rid of these dangerous people who leech from our pockets, who take from the mouth of labor what it has earned. We are looking to abolish these people, but we're looking to abolish them not through violence, not through criminal acts, but through raising awareness to the general public so that they may have the same desire to live freely and autonomously, to live under the rule of their morals, not under the rule of immoral law. This is what we're fighting for. And if you want to support us, everybody, we're going to run the advertisement one more time. We need everybody to hit this link. We need everybody to sign up. It takes about 5 minutes of your time. When you do that, this app here is going to give us $15, which is going to go towards legal fees. If we can get 100 people to sign up today, we've got 240. If we can get 100 of you to sign up, and maybe it could be you that helps us sign up. If we can get 100 of you to sign up, it'll be $1,500. Where we're at with our donations and with our fundraising, that would get us over the line. That would get us to where we can hire this attorney for this case. And we are in desperate need of it, everybody. So we're going to show you the advertisement one more time. And we are going to hope and pray that everybody who can help and everybody who can sign up for this will sign up for this. Because honestly, people, I'm not sure there's a more worthy cause to donate to right now other than this one, other than people like Flex Your Freedoms, other than people like Chili DeCastro, and other than people like who else was just arrested just recently? Like a guy like Long Island Audit, even though he makes a lot of money. Look, these people are out here freedom fighting. These people are out here really trying to, some of them are just out raising awareness. Well, what's more important than raising awareness about the biggest criminal organization that the world has ever seen? And of course, I mean that literally. There has never been another criminal organization that compares in size, scope, or power to the U.S. government and its satellite states. So with that being said, everybody, this is it. We really, really ask that you sign up for this. I badly need it. So please do. Please support the channel by doing this. It only takes 5 minutes of your time. Here's the advertisement.
If you want to help this channel and yourself, you need the My Bamboo banking app. This banking app has tons of features.
And for public safety. Donate to For Public Safety if you think this cause. He's in the chat. This guy has helped me out a whole lot. I can't believe that I left his name out of there. This guy is a freedom fighter in his own right, but he exposes government in an incredible manner. It's actually not been seen before on YouTube as far as I'm concerned. He actually exposed one of the most corrupt sheriffs in the history of the state of Indiana. He helped get this guy to see the inside of a jail like he's never seen it before. The guy's name is Jamie Noel. So if you are inclined to support freedom fighters, exposers of criminal activity on the part of government, then For Public Safety is another really great channel to support. So, and by the way, when I did that just there, I completely screwed up the advertisement. So we're going to restart it and then we're going to end the stream. So sorry about that, everybody. Here it is right here.
This channel and yourself, you need the My Bamboo banking app. This banking app has tons of features such as Zelle compatibility, international transfers, and the insurance marketplace, which helps you find insurance for anything from your phone to your car. When you download with our link, we get $15 that will go towards legal fees, and you will receive a slick debit card for free that looks like this. When you download, take a screenshot of the finished screen, and we will enter your name into a raffle. The winner of that raffle will receive one of our revamped Hide Behind the Badge shirts, completely free. Just make sure that when you sign up, you take a screenshot of the finished screen and send it to us on our Gmail, chandtyaudits. Now let's get back into the video.
Right before we end it, I'm going to read off the GoFundMe names. We got 200 people in here. Stick around because these people are real heroes to me, and they're heroes to everybody in the chat, I'm sure. So Anonymous just donated $99. So thank you to whoever that was. I really do appreciate it. All these names on GoFundMe are public. So if you don't want your name to be public, you can donate anonymously. We've got Benjamin Thies with $10 2 days ago. Bank of America, $5. It's an interesting name. Jose Rodriguez has given $10 3 days ago. Flex Your Freedoms came in with $50 4 days ago. Efren Quinonez, probably butchered that. Efren Quinonez with $20 4 days ago. James Rego, $5 4 days ago. Gary Park, $20 4 days ago. Michelle Metz, $20. Donald Roberts, $25. Sean Joseph, $25. Robert Marriott, $50. Kirian Tibbetts is $15. Anonymous with another $12. Another anonymous donation, $100. Tony Gleaton with $20. Anonymous with $25. Dan Howard with $50. Clifford Williams with $20. Rick Powell with $20. Christopher Guara with $29. Frank Pastor with $25. Bethany Rossetti with $25. Jeffrey with $5. Jeffrey Miller. We got Jimmy Branham coming in with $50. David with $20. David White. We got Jeff Hartman with $10. Another anonymous donation, $50. Another anonymous donation with $100. Avery Manning with $25. Eileen Lippincott with $30. Joseph Sheridan with $25. Mark Seats, he's probably our biggest donor in this case yet, with $230. That was 7 days ago. Thank you so much, Mark. I don't think I've gotten a chance to thank you yet, but if you are of a mind to, please reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you with this, man. That's a brilliant donation. Thank you for that. Anonymous, $100. Arnold Brandon with $25. Anonymous, another $20. Renee Smallwood with $200. Wow. Thank you, Renee. It's incredible. We've got MIA Exhibition with $100. Greg B with $10. Anonymous with $10. By the way, everybody that I'm reading off right now donated while I was incarcerated. So thank you for that. I mean, being incarcerated, knowing that there are people that care about you is one thing, and it's a brilliant thing. And knowing that other people are out there that really support your work, not only with their mouth, but with their money. It's a very comforting feeling. It's knowing that at some point we are most likely going to get this worked out. So thank you. We've got Alan Hubbs with $20. We got Rodolfo Garcia with $20. Braden Tucker with $100. Braden Tucker with another $100. So $200 from Braden. Thank you so much, Braden. I can't thank you enough for that, man. David White with $17. David Grossman with $10. Louis Martinez with $10. Dennis Leroy Doulin for $100. Thank you so much, Dennis. Aaron Hickey with $20 and Anonymous with $25. Thank you. Thank you so much. That Anonymous started the GoFundMe, and that is going to end the stream. I wanted to make sure that we give a shout out to everybody. I see that we've got Auditing Erie County in the chat. I see For Public Safety in there. Stephanie Jenks, she's always in here. I see her. That's why she's one of my moderators. She's one of the best moderators. I got Worm Bros. Worm Bros is also a massive donator. He is a massive contributor to this channel. Thank you so much for your contributions, Worm Bros. That is very good. Danny's Thoughts. I see Danny's Thoughts up here. He's signing up for My Bamboo now. Thank you, Danny. Thank you. I don't know if you're in here. You might be in the screen, signing up. But thank you. And thank you for everybody who signed up. please send us the email with the finished screen, because we are entering everybody who sends us that email into a raffle. We're going to pick out the raffle. Let's pick out the raffle. Let's do it. As a matter of fact, let's do it May 2nd. May 2nd, we're going to pick the names out of the raffle, and we are going to get everybody, we are going to get the winner of that a free no shipping fee, hide behind the badge shirt. It's going to be, it's already revamped. We've got it on our Teespring account. As a matter of fact, we'll add it to both the descriptions after this video, because we're pretty excited about this design, right? But with that being said, everybody, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. I appreciate everybody's donations. I want everybody to have a great rest of their night. Thank you for the support. Stay free. Stay vigilant. We've got Autumn Coleman. I want to give her a shout out. Post facto. No, it's not. We got it there. Thank you, Autumn, very much for that. And thank you to the Angry Vet as well for his 20 memberships. So everybody have a great night. We'll see you next time.